Let me just interject this question because I recently had this experience where I was working with an attorney and an accountant who did not know each other, and that caused all kinds of problems, right? So
Yeah.
when somebody starts working with you as an attorney, is that something they should ask? Like, can you meet my accountant or whatever?
Um, it, God, again, I'm so conditioned. It depends. Uh,
Yeah.
it really depends on what we're doing. Um, if we're setting up the business, yes. Either I need to give you a list of questions to ask the accountant, or I just need to talk to the accountant.
Yeah.
Because sometimes it's a question as simple as what's the tax designation going to be of the LLC, and because we have to put that in the operating agreement. Okay.
Yeah.
But there are a number of different reasons that I would want to talk to an accountant. Um, there was I'll give you another really weird one. Let's go back to Washington State, because this is we have states down here that are called community property states. And what that basically means is is that a married couple own all property together equally. Okay, so in Pennsylvania, we're not a community property state. So I own my gym, and when I got divorced, my wife could could make a claim, not as part ownership, but part of the equity of the gym. Okay.
Mm,
Um, if I lived in Washington, there's a potential that she could have made a claim as to part of the ownership. It's a community
yeah.
property. We're married, so we sort of share ownership, even though we're only recorded as single owners. All right. So that sort of background said, somebody brought an issue to me a few months ago and asked if we could draft the LLC to show that husband and wife were joint one owner in the LLC. And so instead of husband being 50% and wife being 50% as individual members, they were named as husband and wife combined 100%. I have no idea. Um, that's a tax question.
Yeah.
And so yes, I had to get in contact with their accountants just to say, this is one of these online things that may or may not be true. You're the one as the accountant who's ultimately going to have to defend this. So we were able to work with the accountant in order to figure out, is this legit or is it not legit? And thankfully I was able to skirt the issue because they weren't actually married at the time that I drafted their legal document. So I ultimately didn't have to worry about it, but it's a really easy example of an instance where, yes, it is very beneficial for me to know the attorney or a local attorney, for me to know local accounting, or if you use Insight Tax, I introduce me
Mm,
over email to your Insight Tax representative, and that way I can coordinate other questions with them.
yep. I can see something like that actually happening in Canada, for example, where income splitting is not uh, it's not like a natural part of the process. You have to actually do it. So, for example, if you've got one person in the house earning 100,000 a year and the other person earning zero, you're going to pay at a higher tax bracket than you would if you had two people earning 50. So, anyway, I could see why somebody in some states you might want to have like a married couple as a single owner in an LLC, but
Yeah, I don't.
governments.
Right.
Okay, so this is the thing, right, Matt? Like, so much of the law is like subjective and malleable, but so much of taxes are also subjective and malleable that this is
Yeah.
really why you want like your accountant and your attorney to have a relationship.
And I'll just throw one more in there as your insurance provider.
Yeah.
I have numerous conversations with Von Vernon, over at Affiliate Guard, or A Guard, I think they are now.
Agard,
I
yeah.
don't think I don't know if he cares, but sure, A Guard. Did numerous conversations with him about such and such is looking to do such and such with their business. Will
Yeah.
you make sure that they're covered?
Yeah, you're right. That's a key thing. I think a lot of gym owners, myself included, when we're looking at insurance premiums, we look for like the lowest price and we leave
Mm-hmm.
huge gaps that you could drive a truck through that would ultimately like hit us, right? And I can remember Vaughn had this competing like insurance underwriter way back in the day for CrossFit, and in the policies this competitor was like writing, it said that your insurance coverage ended at the front door. So if you were going outside and doing like 400-meter runs and anybody got hurt out there on the broken sidewalk, you weren't covered, you know. And they had a whole bunch of stuff. Like my insurance company said that I wasn't allowed to host tractor pulls. What the hell is a tractor pull, right?
Like a horse, like
I assumed they thought I was pulling tractors, but I don't know. So anyway, yeah, your attorney, your accountant, and your insurance provider should like be friends. That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let us all talk.
Yeah. You don't have to be there, right? Because the stuff they're going to talk about is really boring. So you should pay for lunch, but like you don't have to go.
Yeah, I'll tell you all day long about a designated premise liability exception. You're going to gloss over, but your insurance provider and we're going to be having like a good Friday afternoon conversation.
They love it. They want to talk about whatever he just called that all day long. Yeah.